Project Ascension, Chapter 12, by Darthlink and Myth. Twilight stood outside the palace with her brother and friends, and with another pony by their side, who was now wearing a magical collar around his neck. Twilight, is that really necessary? Rainbow asked, looking down at the purple magic keeping Blaze in the collar. I'm not taking any chances, especially with this stallion, she whispered to her friend. But Blaze's ears perked as he heard them. Blaze just shook his head and rolled his eyes, but he was smiling too. He was happy to help him, now that his little brother was safe. His little brother came running up to him and held onto his leg, looking up with worried eyes. Blaze sighed and patted Light's head gently. Don't worry, Light. I'll be fine with these ponies, he reassured Light. Light looked at the others with caution, though his eyes fell on Twilight. She could see a flash of anger in his eyes. Twilight could feel her stomach twist slightly when Light looked at her, feeling like she was the bad pony now, and kidnapping the only family Light had. Twilight turned her head away and faced her brother. We should go now before it's too late. Shining nodded and placed his helmet on his head. His battle armor now set. Right. Blaze then looked at Light with stern eyes. Listen to me now, Light. You stay with Scootaloo at all times. Got it memorized? He asked, placing a hoof on his shoulder. Yeah. Blaze decided to hug his brother tight, right then and there. Come on! I'll be back before you know it, he said as Light held on to him. He noticed the mares were looking at the pair with moist eyes, save Twilight, who could not look at them. He swore he saw a tear escaping her eye. Though Blaze just shrugged it off and let go of Light, turning and moving towards Twilight and the others. As soon as they were away from castle grounds, Twilight looked at Blaze, who was surprisingly calm, even with a magical collar on. I'm sorry, she said to him. Blaze turned to her, slightly surprised at her words. Sorry? He asked her, thinking he misheard her words. I'm sorry I had to do that in front of your little brother, she said, slightly lowering her head in apology. So long as he's safe, I don't really care what happens to me, eh? This time it was Twilight's turn to be surprised at his words. Excuse me? She asked in a harsh whisper. You're excused. Twilight hugged at his answer. I'm serious! Why must you consider your own life with so little regard? I do consider my life with some importance, but my little brother's life is way more important to me than my own. I'm sure you feel the same way with your boy. Twilight kicked the ground awkwardly. Yeah, I do, but it seems strange, coming from a member of the group that kidnapped him. I never really was a member of that group any more than I had to be, the stallion pointed out. At any rate, let's keep going. No telling what Bloodwing's doing with Spike. Let me go! Spike demanded as Black dragged him by his tail. He dug his claws into the ground, trying to get some sort of grip, but it proved futile. Let me go! I have rights! At that point, a swift hoof crashed onto the dragon's head, causing him to cry out in pain. An appropriate response, Black, Bloodwing commended. He turned back to Spike. You have no right to be free. You're a fake, a tour. Your purpose is to serve the one who uses you. What do you mean? Spike said, feeling timid. I mean, you are nothing more than a construct of Twilight Sparkle's magic. I wanted to study the phenomenon, but that fool Celestial was attached to you. He snored and risen. Foolish creature. An immortal like that should know that love is a mere fleeting feeling. That's not true, Spike defended weakly. That's how... Another host silenced him. Tools should not contradict their masters. Put them in. Spike, his face blurred from the blow, couldn't see where he was being placed. He did hear the sound of a lock closing, though. When his feelings had finally cleared, he saw a glass orb placed inside a giant machine. He knew whatever the machine did, he knew that this was exactly where he did not want to be. It's a shame losing Subject 10, but what I extracted out of her fast-forward my research tenfold. Unfortunately, I need a good deal of power to push my plans forward before Celestia can shut me down, which is why I have you. Spike gulped. What do you mean? Bloodwing just smiled at Spike and turned his attention to Black. If you would do the honors. With pleasure, sir. Yellow jumped in between the two of them. What about me? Can I please do it, sir? She pleaded to Bloodwing, shedding crocodile tears in an attempt to win him over. Bloodwing just sighed, a face of an annoyance at his subordinates. Fine, just do it, would you? Spike saw Yellow skipping over to a lever on the opposite side of the room, and saw her rubbing her hooves in glee as he took hold of it and pulled it down dramatically. The machine started to power up, and all the lights began to glow. The glass orb Spike was suddenly starting to fill up with a weird red liquid. It was sticky. It smelled horrible. When the liquid rose to the level of his knees, he started to bang on the glass orb as hard as he could. But it was no use. No matter how hard he hit the orb, it would not crack. He then inhaled air, hoping to blow fire at it. But he was submerged in the liquid before he could exhale. He could see Yellow smiling smugly at him. As he flicked a switch on the wall, electricity flowed the orb, sending an excruciating pain through Spike's body. He screamed as the pain quickly became too much for him. Through the dark spots appearing at the edge of his quickly blurring vision, he noticed another glass orb next to him, filling up with a purple substance and starting to glow brightly. He noticed Bloodwing laughing like a mad pony as he caressed the orb gently, as though it were alive. "We are so close now!" "So close are we now to becoming gods!" Spike could tell they were laughing like it was their birthdays, and he could see Bloodwing walking up to him wearing a sadistic smile on his face. "Soon you will become part of greatness itself." Scootaloo was eating well for the first time in days. A spread was placed out on the table before her friends, and light, full of food she had only dreamed of. Having lived off gruel and living on what she could find in the streets before that, getting to eat good food was heavenly. She wasn't the only one. It was clear that Light hadn't been fed the best either, and was eating food for the first time since becoming Bloodwing's prisoner. He was giving little care to table manners, though no pony minded. Applebloom and Slee were absolutely happy to see their friend again, but were surprised by her added horn feature, as well as the presence of the colt that came in with her. A few minutes later, though, Scootaloo was finished eating and was lost in deeper thoughts of why he wanted Spike. "You all right there, Scoots?" Applebloom asked her friend, walking up and taking the seat next to her. Sighing, the orange Pegasus poked her horn. "I have a horn glowing out of my forehead, and Spike's trapped in that horrible place because of me. What do you think?" "It wasn't your fault," Light tried to assure her between bites of sugar bread. "Bloodwing would have done the horrible things no matter what." Sweetie said a little. "Did Bloodwing ever do anything to you? Tried to give you a horn or something?" The colt shook his head. It was part of the deal Bloodwing had my brother. He kept it that much at least," he said. He sighed. "My brother's not really that bad. Honest." "I know. He treated me better than any pony else there," Scootaloo sadly. "Do you think the others are okay?" "Ma says there's the strongest mare in Equestria, twice the most powerful unicorn, and Rainbow Dance is the fastest Pegasus. We're running the others, they'll handle Bloodwing no problem." "His name is Blaze," Light corrected forcefully. Sorry. "I still don't get why the princess isn't handling this herself," Light said, stuffing another cupcake into his mouth. "We told you, the princess doesn't get involved if it's some pony like Discord," Sweetie explained. "These guys are just mortal ponies. I heard her saying something about needing the elements to get experience. She's still watching, and she said she'd come down if—" "It won't happen," Ear Pony cut her off. "My sister can handle anything." Scootaloo pawed at her food before looking up reluctantly. "I'm going back." The other foals stood there incredulously. "What?" "I can't let Rainbow Dash and Spike get hurt because of me. I'm going back." Sweet Belle looked at her friend as though she were insane. "But if you go there, the ponies might catch and hurt you again," she shouted to her friend, coming close with fearful eyes. Scootaloo looked down at the floor, averting to gaze her Sweetie's eyes. "I know, but I have to do something," she said. She looked up to face her friends, who looked at her with concern. "Look, I'll be out real quick. I have to do this alone, and—" "You're not doing this alone." Scootaloo turned to Light, who looked at her with a straight face and walked up to her side. "I'm coming with you. I need to make sure my older brother is safe." Scootaloo gave him a deadpan look and just shook her head. "I don't think so. You'll just slow things down." Light glowered at Scootaloo and stomped his hoof. "Do you even know how to get back to that place?" he challenged. Only silence greeted him. He smiled wryly. I didn't think so. And whether you like it or not, I'm coming with you, okay? Scootaloo sighed and face huffed, but, uncertain to her new repentance, ended up hitting her horn instead, sending a small jolt of pain through her head. She let out a groan and began to rub it soothingly. Oh, fine. Let's just go already. Suddenly, she was trapped in a hug from both Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle. Both fillies looked at her with doleful eyes as their lips quivered slightly.
Just be careful, okay?
Yeah, don't you get caught again, you hear? Scootaloo smiled warmly at her friend's words, and closed her eyes slowly, nodding a muffled yes coming from her lips. She slowly opened it, and her eyes were slightly moist from the experience. I'll be all right. I'll be right back, she said softly as she wormed her way out of the hug and walked toward the windows. Both Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom turned to light and gave a stern look that turned to friendliness.
Keep her safe, okay?
I will. It's just right down this alley, Blaze noted, with shining armor and the bearers right behind him. This is the place, all right, Rainbow noted. We pulled this lamp here. She did so, revealing the secret entrance. We'd better expect a welcoming committee. Shining armor. They've probably noticed that they're missing prisoners by now, so they'll know we're back. Assuming they haven't moved already. I doubt it. There's far too much important stuff for him to move. Besides, I know all the hideouts. We'll find them again soon anyway. I just wish that we had time to figure out what to do about Black, Applejack noted as they began to descend the steps. You said we should go in knowing everything about our opponent, Twi. There's no telling what Bloodwing is going to do with Spike's energy, Twilight pointed out. There's more than one life. Blaze put a hoof on her shoulder. He'll be fine if we hurry, he said. Leave Black to me. I know how to deal with. At that point, the halls brightened up. The ponies jumped and looked around in surprise.
What's going on?
Fluttershy whimpered. It's Bloodwing! Blaze bet. He's practically fighting us in. So whatever he was planning, he's finished with it, Shiny said. There's nothing for us to do but to go in and try to take it out. The main lab's this way, Blaze noted, leading the 7 others down the hallways, through the twists and turns of the lab. They stopped at the entrance with 2 iron doors with no lock on the outside. Blaze looked at the door from each side frantically, and slammed his hoof against it. No effect. This is not good, he said out loud, while the others looking even more worried than before. Shining approached him and glared at him. You worked here! You must know how to open these doors! He shouted to Blaze. Blaze looked flatly at Shining, then looked back at the door before him. I did work here, and that's how I know that the only lock is on the inside. This is like a panic room for Bloodwing, he told Shining. Still frantically thinking, he decided to try to fly up the door and look through the gaps. Applejack watched forward from the group. So you're saying there's no way of opening this here door? She asked Blaze, leaning in to get a better look at the iron door before her. Blaze landed and shook his head in defeat. Not unless we have explosives here, which I doubt any pony brought with. Move aside. Blaze's ears perked up and turned to be greeted by a very angry-looking Twilight, whose horn was glowing brightly and dangerously. Remembering his first encounter with the mare, he quickly followed the others, standing back at a respectable distance away from Twilight. Twilight concentrated her magic to the brink. When her horn was glowing red, she released the magic from within it. It shot from great velocity toward the door, which exploded on impact, creating a slight tremor from the force released from the magic. When the dust cleared, the pathway was opening to them, and the 3 ponies stood on the opening side. The 3 ponies looked surprised and horrified at Twilight Sparkle's rage, which was only amplified when she saw the glass orb containing Spike. She noticed he was floating there lifelessly. She turned to Bloodwing and marched toward him slowly. So, you're Bloodwing, I presume? She asked him in a rather relaxed tone, though her voice was so cold that her words sent shivers up listeners' spines. Bloodwing gulped and smiled delightfully at the mare before him. Why, yes I am. Twilight Sparkle, here, in my presence. I remember when you were but a filly, seeing you achieve the one thing I was researching my whole life. He joyfully shrieked at her, but was met with only cold eyes. You ascended. At the mere age of 12, you did something that was thought to be impossible. You became a creator, though flawed in your creation. He added as an aside as he walked toward the glass orb Spike was in. This construct you created carries so much magic in it you can't possibly imagine. Do you realize that with this, I can finally finish my research to elevate ponies to become alicorns, or even create life itself and give me back my son? Oh, come now, the Pegasus chastised. Certainly a man of magic like yourself could see. Twilight didn't let him finish. She fired her strongest blast of magic straight at Bloodwing, hoping to end it here and now. Sadly, Black was too fast. In a split second, he was between his employer and attacker, his newly acquired horn getting a workout as it summoned a shield around the two of them. The former Earth pony buckled and strained, but managed to block the attack successfully. No, see? Just like Celestia, you let those frivolous emotions get in the way of progress. Not that she matters anymore. Before long, she won't be anything special. I think you're forgetting something, Shining Armor pointed out. There's 8 of us versus 3 of you. It won't be a problem. Au contraire, Captain Armor, the scientist hissed. My soldiers have been upgraded in more ways than one. Shoot them. Smiling with unrepentant sadism, Black lit up his horn, and what came out was lightning that was pitch black. The surreal attack flying forward and causing the group to scatter. Twilight and Pinkie were the first to react, going off pure instinct and only thinking of her son that was trapped behind the obstacles. She threw out attack after attack, hoping to find a chink in the armor. No such luck. Black blocked each one with ease. Pinkie had her party cannon out and ready, but before she could fire, Applejack stopped it. Stick to the plan, remember?
Oh, right!
The Earth pony chuckled, moving her aim toward Yellow. Black, meanwhile, was caught off guard by Shining Armor barreling into him, attacking him to the ground. Black threw magic wildly, but the attacks that were connected were negated by Shining's own defensive magic. Now free of her obstacle, Twilight ran toward Bloodwing, streaking like a mad pony at her hated enemy. No! Twilight! Wait! And then, suddenly, she couldn't move. No, you'll see, Bloodwing said sadly. Look at what I've done, just because you've rushed in. Twilight stood still in place, unable to move a single muscle at all. Only her eyes could move. They looked around frantically. Suddenly, her hind legs began to kneel, and her legs began to buckle in place. She tried to move her head, but was unsuccessful in doing so. Twilight! Shining shouted at his sister, but he could not do anything for her at the moment, since he was preoccupied with a hostile Alcorn. Twilight saw Bloodwing walk up slowly to her. He raised a hoof in the air slowly. Her body was pulled up into the air, levitating in place. No magic aurora surrounded her, yet it felt like she was being pulled by invisible strings, and the puppeteer was standing before her, smiling sadistically. I assume you figured out what my ability is, right? He asked her, but she was met with only a glare from Twilight. My ability is to control blood. My blood. And my enemy's blood, he said nonchalantly. As he moved a hoof through his air, Twilight's body followed it. Marvelous, isn't it? So many years of research went into this, and with your help, I can finally achieve what I've always wanted. Ascension, my dear child. Ascension will bring me closer to knowing everything and performing anything that even those old hags couldn't. Oh! Twilight kicked him hard. Rainbow kicked him hard in the face as he came flying in, sending Bloodwing flying and releasing Twilight from his grasp. Rainbow caught Twilight before she collided with the floor, and gently placed her on the ground. She then turned her attention to Bloodwing, who was dusting himself off from the attack. You talk way too much, even by my standards! Rainbow growled as he moved to stand next to Twilight, crouched and ready to fight the threat before her. Bloodwing stood there, aggravation showing on his face as he frowned at the Pegasus before him. The one side of his mouth was bleeding slightly, with a slight bruise quickly forming from the kick. He let out a grin and proceeded to lick the side of his cheek that had blood on it.
Oh, how disgusting!
Rarity sounded in horror as he raced to her friend's aid. Bloodwing began to chuckle slightly, before he turned to mad laughter. Ah, yes, the Rainbow does. Primary provider of the subjects. Your role is done, little filly, he said to her mockingly. Rainbow stood there in confusion as she raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? What subjects? You mean Scootaloo? Subject 10 especially, yes. You have such a good genetic base for it. But She's obsolete now, and quite frankly, so are you. At that moment, Yellow, tired of just watching, decided to act. She grabbed her rifle in hand and began searching through herself, intent on finding her opponent. But Dash was ready this time. She brought her front knee down into Yellow's stomach, catching her off guard and knocking the wind out of her before Yellow had a chance to recover. The cyan mare drove a hoof across her face. Yellow recovered quickly and flew up. Rainbow Dash followed her up, not letting her get away a second time. Fluttershy, though scared, followed as well. Seeing this, Yellow shot lightning at both of her front hooves, hoping to shock them both. The pair dodged, and Rainbow Dash flew forward, striking Yellow from behind and sending her up, crashing into the ceiling. Gulping, Fluttershy looked around.
Please, if you could give us a hug, if you don't mind.
I've got a skewer to sell, Pegasus noted, lining up his fire. He then saw a blaze directly at Bloodwing. The scientist moved, jumping into the air. Quickly calculating his trajectory, Twilight fired another blast. This one had true aim. It struck Bloodwing in the chest, sending him back into the wall. With her hated enemy down, Twilight began running for the machine, while Blaze channeled all his might into the flames aimed at the scientist. Twilight made it halfway to the machine before she was stopped again, her body moving against itself. She was forced to turn and light up her horn, which was pointing directly at Blaze. Twilight couldn't even call out and warn him as the shot fired. It hit Blaze, catching him completely off guard as he fell forward. Bloodwing got up, slightly hurt from the magical attack that came from Twilight. You'd think I would allow my own creatures to hurt me. I know how to summon magic shielding as well. I'm not as advanced as shining armor, but I get the job done. Blaze just smirked at Bloodwing. Well, you didn't create me, now did you? You just tampered with me and got me into a contract, he said to Bloodwing, and in the blink of an eye he appeared before him. Was this now null and void? Before Bloodwing could react, Blaze took hold of Bloodwing and decided to use what knowledge he had on hoof-to-hoof combat on him. Go! Twilight! I'll keep him busy! He shouted to Twilight as he continued to fight Bloodwing with all he had. Twilight ran out to the machine Spike was trapped in and started using her magic on it. The machine started to glow in a purple aurora, but it suddenly shocked her, sending her skidding on the floor. Ah! Magic repulsion? She asked herself out loud, and noticed the Spike being shocked more in the orb he was in. Before she could react, she saw another orb containing a purple glowing substance and began to panic. She got up on the floor and frankly ran up the machine again. You better pay attention to your enemies, you bitch! Twilight turned her head up to the sound of Yellow, flying at her with lightning speed. Before she could reach the distraught Twilight, she was met by Rainbow Dash, who tackled her hard, and they both crashed through the wooden door. Rarity and Applejack ran after them into the room, hoping to help Rainbow against the electric mayhem. Which room do you think they're holding Spike in, Light? Scootaloo asked Light as they were walking through the corridors of Bloodwing's lair. If it was not for Light being with her, she would not have known how to open the secret door to the lair, let alone find its location. Light shrugged at the question given to him. If, my memory serves me right, the central lab would be best bet. That's where he did all those freaky experiments. At least, that's what my bro said. He told Scootaloo as he frowned slightly at the memory of seeing his older brother in pain after an experiment. Scootaloo bit her lower lip and placed a hoof on his shoulder. Hey, Blaze, it's gonna be okay. You said he's strong and... Scootaloo suddenly yelped and grabbed hold of Light, hugging him and looking scared. But Light was baffled for a second before fussing mildly at Scootaloo's action. He saw Scootaloo turning to him, and they both blinked twice. She let go of him fast, and both tapped a hoof awkwardly on the floor. What was that for? Scootaloo turned to him, still flashing at her face. Spire touched me, she said sheepishly. You're afraid of spires? He asked, somewhat amused. You're an alicorn. So? Spires are still creepy and disgusting. Light couldn't help but smirk. Relax, it's gone. Come on, I think it's down this way. The two foals continued walking down the door, down the hallways, and making turns at the cult instructions. Finally, they came to a metal door. This looks like it. Help me get it open. The two foals pushed at the door. After a moment, it came loose, slowly showing the room inside. Scootaloo let out a scream. It took Light a second to see why. This room had no Spike, but was filled with tanks. Each of them was filled with a haunting green liquid, and submerged in this liquid was a pony. Every tank had a pony. All three types were present: Unicorn, Pegasus, and Earth ponies in equal amount. However, none of these ponies were complete. Some were missing eyes and a jaw, others legs. One unicorn had a horn only partly grown, a Pegasus only one wing. Some were still in the fetal stage. Some of them had veins all over their faces, and some seemed perfectly normal. And if you look to your left, you can see cells still forming. What the? Blood wings. Failed experiments. Light gulped. Blaze told me about them. Why keep them around? Scootaloo asked, feeling sick. To learn from his mistakes. That's what Blaze told me. He looked around the room a bit, trying to keep his stomach from resenting its contents. Look, there's a desk. Maybe there's a map of the lab here. The two foals rushed over to find a mess of papers littering the desk. Scootaloo began running through them, but Light actually took the time to read through. One particular binding of notes has the title Project Ascension on it, and Light read the contents out loud since Scootaloo was not engrossed. Experiment 1337, failure to grow eyes and heart properly. Experiment 1338, failure to sprout wings. Experiment 1339, died 3 days after removal. Experiment 1340, success. After several months, an experiment has sustained life successfully. Only to attempt to do so, I will name this one Subject 10. Scootaloo? I think that's you. Scared, Scootaloo took the paper and read. The donation from Rainbow Dash has led to the best results. Soon, I plan to add the unicorn components from one Twilight Sparkle, as well as the Earth Pony components from... Then there was a crash. Two Pegasi came tumbling into the room, each one having their hooves on each other's throats. Once they stopped rolling, Rainbow Dash ended up top, and used her fans to repeatedly punch Yellow's face in as he lay on the floor, each hit echoing across the room. Before she could slam her hoof down again, she was met with the hind legs of Yellow on her gut and kicked off into the hard glass tank. The glass shattered on contact, releasing the green substance that the experiment held. The experiment fell on Rainbow, who looked at it with disgust and horror and hastily pushed it away. She then looked around her and saw the other tanks that were in the room. What the fuck is this place? She zoomed her head across the room, saw a desk on one side. She was shocked to see two familiar ponies behind the desk. Scootaloo! Light! What are you two doing here? She shouted to them as she tried to rid herself of the green substance that seemed to stain her coat. Yellow looked curiously at the two foals and began to giggle uncontrollably.
well, the little Subject 10 has finally come back to her birthplace. Do you want to meet your mommy?
She asked Scootaloo mockingly, and then pointed a hoof at Rainbow Dash.
Ta-da! Amazing how one pony you idolize is the same pony who helped to bring you into this world. Hey, life is just full of ironies and surprises.
Scootaloo started hyperventilating. More memories started to overflow her mind. Memories long forgotten. Memories of her being in a tank, of her being released and learning to walk. Each memory had the face of Bloodwing and his sick smile, and how she was referred to Subject 10. One memory showed how she escaped, how she used what speed she had in her legs to avoid Bloodwing's hedge ponies. Another memory found her in a town that had signed Ponyville on it, and how she saw a scooter for the first time in her life, thinking it was the most amazing contraption ever, with it having read the brand Scootaloo on it. The most prominent memory was meeting Rainbow Dash for the first time. Say, kid, what's your name? Rainbow asked the orange filly as she hovered about her.
Scootaloo.
Scootaloo? Like the scooters? That's kinda cool.
Cool?
Scootaloo asked her curiously as she looked at the rainbow mare before her in awe. Rainbow chuckled softly. Yeah, you're cool, I say. Second only to me, of course. Scootaloo turned her head sideways.
You?
Rainbow hit her hoof on chest proudly. Name's Rainbow Dash! Fastest and most awesome Pegasus in all of Equestria, soon to be the greatest thunderbolt of all time, she said with pride as she flew higher. Seeing Scootaloo looked at her with wonder. Though, when she took a closer look at Scootaloo, she noticed her ribs were showing. Kid, you look hungry, she said as she lowered herself to the floor and scooped up the surprised filly and placed her on her back. Hold on! This is gonna be a fast ride! She said to the filly as she zoomed away to Sugarcube Corner, Scootaloo holding onto her neck as she flew. Rainbow wrestled Yellow to the ground, yelling at Scootaloo. Get out of here! She cried. Get to safety! Scootaloo didn't respond. She was still shocked at the flood of memories. Hurry! Before... Yellow began charging up, but by now, Dash had learned to recognize this and quickly flew up, dodging the lightning blast. She then flew down Hoof first, knocking her in the stomach. Yellow coughed, trying to catch the breath which had just been knocked out of her. Get out! Dash yelled again. Come on! Light yelled, dragging Scootaloo toward the exit. Pinky came down through the opening Dash and Yellow had made, pushing her party cannon in front of her. She pointed at the recovering Pegasus. That's it! Yellow yelled, getting up slowly. I'm going to fucking kill! Pinky fired. What came out wasn't a ball of confetti, or glitter, or even cake batter, but a strange, sexy substance that engulfed the crazed experiment. The material pinned her to the ground. Muster her displeasure. What's up? She said, vaguely striking at her bonds. What is this?
Never! Pinky cheered. Twilight made it.
What? She screamed, trying to charge and fire her lightning. But the rubber kept her attacks in place. You little! But Pinky never found out exactly what she was, as Yellow was promptly silenced by a quick hoof to the face from Rainbow Dash, which knocked her out cold. That's that! Fluttershy entered the room and shrieked softly as she clamped her hoof to the mouth at the horrors that met her eyes. She spotted Rainbow and flew over to her quickly.
Rainbow, are you all right?
She asked meekly, eyes flicking over the numerous injuries on her friend. Rainbow waved a hoof at her. I'll be fine, Shy, okay? You and Pinky go back to Twilight and the others. I'm going to find Scootaloo and make sure she's safe.
Oh, I'm going with you. Maybe we can...
No! Pegasus said quickly. You need to provide backup. Fluttershy shook her head.
Twilight's strong. She can take care of things. She wouldn't want us to leave those poor fools alone.
Rainbow paused and sighed. Fine. But as soon as they're safe, we get back there.